ignoring signs in front of me. I used to hurry here and there, but I couldn't get nowhere. I was living foolishly. My favorite word was always no. It held me back out of the flow. But now it's plain, I must confess, there's more to gain by saying yes, 'cause love is in the driver's seat. When I let love lead the way, life is better every day. Oh, and now it's plain to see I'm where I'm supposed to be, with love in the driver's seat. Life is feeling pretty sweet. I smile at every one of me. I play the game but don't keep score. I don't need to anymore. Love is in the driver's seat. When I let love lead the way, life gets better every day. Oh, and now it's plain to see I'm where I'm supposed to be, with love in the driver's seat. Whoa, talking about love in the driver's seat. Whoa, oh, sweet love, talking about love in the driver's seat. Oh, yeah. I'm cruising in the driver's seat. I'm heading on down the road, yeah. Ooh, love, sweet love in the driver's seat. In the driver's seat, I got it. Talking about love, I got it in the driver's seat. Thank you. Thank you so very much.
You'll be hearing more from Claudia throughout the service. Thank you, that was great. And I like being in the driver's seat, don't you? So again, welcome to Unity and happy Mother's Day to all of those that nurture us all. Grandmothers, mothers, aunts, everyone. We, as always, we open with prayer, and Buddy is going to lead us in the opening prayer.
Very nice woman. She gives me my voice. All right, well, as we do before every service, we do take, thank you. I got plenty of coaches in the audience. We take this time during the service to open with prayer, which is a very, very basic foundation of the unity movement, unity thought. So at this time, just take a really, really deep breath. Just allow yourself to relax into the present moment, into the seat in which you're sitting, and just let all tension leave your body. Let all thoughts or concerns of tension leave. Move into your heart space. You're now in a safe place. And in this space, allow your thoughts to concentrate on the thought that the reality of our being is we are spiritual beings experiencing a human physical existence. We give thanks in this awareness for the love of our Creator that surrounds and infills every aspect of our life and body. This Creator, by whatever name that is called, loves us with an unending love. And for this we give thanks. We give thanks at Unity this morning, whether we are in the sanctuary or online, for the opportunity to share our love and our oneness, for we are all one. We see the joy that we create through word and through music, spreading throughout the world and bringing peace and justice and friendship to all people everywhere. And this peace exists not only in conflicts between nations, but also peace among relationships. We give thanks that it is so. We know it is the truth. And so it is. Amen.
And let us conclude our prayer today with our statement of faith. Together, there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. Well, we're going to do the welcome song today, and I love variety. We don't want to get into the same old routine. Claudia is going to do a new welcome song that we will do a call and response to. So join in. Words will be up there.
Great. Do we normally stand for the welcome song? Okay, great. Thank you for your flexibility. You know, I'm a musician and a songwriter, and what do we do when we're going through a pandemic and we can't travel as much? We sit at home and write songs. So hope you feel the energy of this one. It's called This House is Built on Love, and I'll sing a line and you just sing it right back to me. Welcome to this sacred space. Welcome to this sacred space. See the joy on every face. See the joy on every face. This house is built on love. This house is built on love. This house is built on love. Woo! Leave your burdens at the door. Leave your burdens at the door. You're not a stranger anymore. You're not a stranger anymore. This house is built on love. This house is built on love. This house is built on love. Say it loud and say it clear. Woo! We're so happy that you're here. This house is built on love. Sing it with conviction. This house is built on love. 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 This house
This house is built on love. PMH talked about that last week. So it's time for kids' church, correct? Mark, there he is. Kids join Mark and go off to kids' church. Have a great time. So I wanted to mention hi to all those out in Zoom land, YouTube, and on our website. This will be the last week that Zoom will be available for those of you at home to watch the service. But you can still go to our website, go on YouTube, and there are other connections as well. So just wanted to make sure you knew about that. And at this time, you had the slide up there, okay. Let's affirm together our mission statement. Unity of Charlottesville empowers everyone to express their unique divinity, making a positive difference in the world. So let's officially introduce Claudia Carawan. We sing many of her songs as praise singers. She often coordinates with Sue Riley and many others that are in the Posse movement, and we love all of her songs, and we're going to get to hear more today. Claudia has been the music director at the Bon Air Unity for 20 years. She's, of course, a singer-songwriter, and she also is a storyteller. And we're really glad that she said this is the first time that she's been out away from Richmond.
From my home church, yeah.
Her home church.
Yeah.
So we welcome her.
Great to be back.
And she'll be doing the meditation before the message. So that's going to be a meditation song right now. Right. Thank you, Claudia.
And I thank you for your flexibility in moving things around. I have to go where the creativity leads me. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, the bright blessed day and the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of all the people walking by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll know much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Ooh, So just breathe that in. What a wonderful world. Today, for our meditation, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to lead you in a guided meditation, a moment on the beach. So I'm going to ask you to use your powers of imagination as we move into this time of quiet reflection. Please close your eyes and begin to breathe deeply. While you breathe, please recognize this life force within you that sustains you so effortlessly. As you take in and release each breath, be aware of the presence within you and be thankful. Now imagine that it is daybreak at the beach. You arrived at the beach very early to see the sunrise and walk on the warm, wet sand. You take off your shoes and you begin to walk toward the beach. In front of you, you approach and climb a small grassy sand dune. And as you descend the sand dune, you see the shore in front of you, but quickly become aware of something very peculiar. There are very few people on the beach this early, but everyone you see is doing the exact same thing. They're standing still and staring out at the water. In curiosity, you gaze out into this beautiful ocean, and then you see it too. It's amazing. Beyond the shore, you see a pod of porpoises migrating. There are hundreds of fins swiftly moving through the water, and every now and then, one or two gracefully leaps out of the water in a perfect arc. It is simply beautiful. You take a long, deep breath filled with this beauty. The sunrise is breaking and you see all these lovely colors, soft yellow, pink, lavender, and creamsicle colored clouds lighting up the sky. And all this color reflects off of the water and onto the backsides of these porpoises. The breeze smells of seaweed and salt, and the sun feels warm against your skin. You're filled with so much gratitude at this magnificent parade of nature as it passes before you. You forget all about your walk, and you sit in the sand and take it all in. You recall the scripture, "Be still and know that I am God." And you're glad to do this. As the last porpoise passes into the distance, you dig your toes into the sand, just so happy to have experienced this wonderful, wonder-filled moment. As we pause in the silence, let us contemplate all the wonders of creation and give thanks. Thank you, Mother, Father, God, for a world full of miracles. Thank you for constant reminders of your presence in our lives. Our hearts sing with joy and praise that we are a part of you and your creation. And we bring our awareness back to this sanctuary. Sometimes this world can break your spirit, that's for sure. Comparisons and doubt will leave you feeling but you can't hide what you are inside. You are beautiful, golden like the sun. Shine your light here on everyone. You illuminate the night like a morning star, and I see you as you truly are. You are beautiful. You are beautiful. Please listen to my words and try them on for size. The impact that you make, you'll never fully realize. And you can't hide what you are inside. You are beautiful, golden like the sun. Shine your light here on everyone. You illuminate the night like a morning star. And I see you as you truly are. You are beautiful. You are beautiful. You are beautiful. You can't hide all you want inside. You're beautiful. Hey, you're beautiful. Ooh, you're beautiful. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Well, it truly is a pleasure to be with you today. Like I said, this is my first road trip in quite a few years. And our churches, Unity of Bon Air and Unity in Charlottesville, are like brothers and sisters, I think. Our ministers have shared friendship and information and some good times together as well. Let's see here. The name of my talk today is Your Beautiful Impact. And I'll start by saying that years ago I had the opportunity to hear Maya Angelou speak in person. She was so inspiring. And she told everybody in attendance that evening that we were all rainbows in the clouds for one another, bringing beauty to the world. And I loved hearing that message, and I think of it often. So today, using a few short stories, I'm going to explore her message that when we shine, we have a beautiful impact on one another and in our world. It's true. In fact, we stand on the shoulders of those who came before us, both friends, family members, and total strangers. And in turn, we do our part by shining our light and passing it on. Life is a miracle. That's what we're engaged in right now, a miracle. And when our eyes are open, inspiration is all around. Albert Einstein said there are only two ways to live your life. One as though nothing is a miracle, and the other as though everything is. So the images that I shared during the meditation of migrating porpoises, that was a miracle moment that I experienced many, many years ago. Back then, I had occasional bouts of depression. And I'll tell you, for those that experience depression, the hardest part is not sadness. The hardest part is a sense of powerlessness. And it was like sometimes a black cloud would descend upon me, and I would start to worry, how long is it going to last this time? That's what I used to go through. And I was at the beach on vacation during one of these melancholy periods. And I woke early, hoping to see the sunrise and just clear my head and take a walk. When I saw the porpoises migrating, I had a pivotal moment, a moment of beautiful impact. I sat in the sand, taking it all in. And in that moment, I realized there was a force, an order, a magnificence in life, a something that governed over the rising and falling of the tides and the changing of the seasons and, even the migration of porpoises. And in that moment, while I was reveling in all the beauty around me, the gorgeous landscape, I kind of realized that I'm a part of the landscape too. I'm part of this creation too. And despite what I was feeling, I realized as I left the beach that day, I was going to be okay. Though it happened so many years ago, it still lives in my memory. And I like to share it from time to time. So for sure, Mother Nature is a great teacher and a great place to experience miracle moments. But since then, I've learned that I don't have to be on a beach or in a garden to experience the miracles that are all around. Which brings me to my first story. When I was a teenager, I was a nonconformist and a loner. I knew I wanted to be a musician one day, but I was alone with this dream. My parents didn't really approve of this kind of endeavor, and they really didn't know how to mentor the creative side of my personality. But I've learned that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I found a mentor in my high school English teacher, Mr. Bogart. Now, I knew right away at a glance Mr. Bogart was just like me. He was a loner and a nonconformist, too. He had hippie-length hair, and he looked a lot more like a student, not a teacher. And the rumor was he was a musician, which that made him really cool in my teenage brain. But despite being a musician, Mr. Bogart was a very, very strict teacher. He made us keep a journal and write in it daily for 15 minutes. Now, this was a graded activity. He said we all needed to develop a daily discipline to be successful in life. He said, you must develop discipline. Well, everybody groaned at the thought of doing this, including me. But I soon found that this journal was a safe place for me to write my thoughts, my goals, and my dreams. And there was no grown-up looking over my shoulder saying, oh, that's not practical. You could never do that. Mr. Bogart introduced us to Julius Caesar, Romeo and Juliet, and the beauty of poetry. And he somehow made it all seem so very interesting. He found ways to make comparisons between great literary works and great works of music, again, earning my utmost respect. Do you know, to this day, I still have a paper graded by Mr. Bogart. I couldn't throw it away. It had two things written on it, A+ and the word succinct. Well, I didn't know what succinct meant, but I wasn't going to ask him. I mean, he thought I was smart, right? So I ran to the dictionary, probably the first time in my academic career that I cracked open a dictionary, and there it was, succinct, direct, concise, to the point. Now, I know this might seem small, but I now had a new way of seeing myself. I was succinct. I learned and I thrived in his classroom, and as I look back through the years, I realized this person had a huge impact on me, nurturing my creativity. But you know, I never really got a chance to thank him, because when I returned to school the following year, he had left. Many years later, after attending a workshop called Honoring Our Mentors, I thought about him again and realized that I needed to find this man and thank him for having such a wonderful impact on me, for making me write in that journal, which I still keep, by the way. And I also found it interesting that, like him, I became a teacher. I was working with at-risk youth for quite a few years, and a musician. So yeah, it took a while, but I finally was able to find him, and I had a long overdue conversation with my old mentor. I thanked him for mentoring me and being the best teacher I ever had. I thanked him for letting me realize that I was smart. I thanked him for having a big impact in my life. He got very quiet on the phone. There was an uncomfortable pause, and then he said, I really appreciate your call, but I'm somewhat surprised that I had that kind of impact on anyone. And then I blurted it out. I said, Mr. Bogart, you threw me a lifeline. And consider this. It's not just between you and I. I'm passing it on. Now I'm a teacher, and I hear myself saying things to my students that you said to us. I tell them, you will develop discipline. Your impact is huge, impossible to measure. Like Mr. Bogart, we never fully realize or understand our impact in this world. I've come to realize that we're all like beautiful threads in a tapestry, a beautiful tapestry called life. And, you know, we lack the ability to see this tapestry from a bird's eye view. So we never actually understand the role we play or see our part. But nevertheless, we are a part of a masterpiece. It's a miracle the way we bump up against one another, giving a word of encouragement, sometimes sharing important information, right? Sometimes bringing unpleasant things up to the surface that can be healed. The impact of each person in this room is a wonder. You're the light in someone's life, the lifeline in someone's turbulent ocean. And yes, we are the light, even when it might seem that we're tumbling and fumbling around in the darkness. Which brings me to my next story. So years ago, I went to a party with my husband, Edward, and there I ran into an old friend from my college days. Oh my goodness. I hadn't seen her in over 30 years, and the love was flowing as we hugged each other and swapped stories and tried to catch each other up with, what we'd been doing. She became a successful psychotherapist with a private practice, and I told her all about my music career. When the laughter began to wane, she reached out and took my hand and looked me straight in the eye. And she said, "Claudia, I want you to know that you have always been such an inspiration to me." Well, I must admit, I felt a little like Mr. Bogart there. Me? I inspired you? My perception was that back then I suffered from depression and had low self-esteem and lots of dysfunctional relationships. I inspired you? And then she reminded me of a story from my past, a story I had totally forgotten about, a story about my kitchen table. So back in those college days, I didn't have a spiritual community, and my family did not live near me. So I was a single girl on her own without a real support system that I was aware of. I was alone. And I searched for validation and love, but it seemed that love eluded me. So what I really wanted was a sense of home, maybe a partner, and my own family, and a feeling of connection. I stumbled into a bookstore and found a book. I don't know why I bought it. It was called The Power of Positive Thinking, written by Norman Vincent Peale. And I became fascinated as I read with this concept that I could use my imagination to change my life. I knew I had a good imagination, and it didn't cost any money to use it. So I figured, I'm going to give this a try. So I started to use my thoughts to imagine the life I wanted. A husband that would laugh at all my silly jokes. My own family, a little dog. A circle of loving friends, and a life filled with music. At the time, it was a little hard for me to believe that I could have all these things. So all of a sudden, I got a creative idea. I need a prop. I need a good prop. So I got an inspired idea. I drove out to a furniture store out in the countryside, and I made a purchase. A huge, beautiful oak dinner table with engraved chairs. The table was the very first piece of furniture I ever owned. But this table represented a lot more than furniture, folks. It represented home. It represented love. In a week, it was delivered to my city apartment, and I want to tell you, it was a sight. That beautiful table amidst my cheap wicker furniture and all my yard sale acquisitions, I invited a few girlfriends over to celebrate my table, and that's when I did it. I declared, this table represents my sustenance, my family, and my future. No more chasing after love and validation from others. From now on, my life is centered around this here table. I'm going to drink tea and coffee and have great conversations with my friends at this table. One day, I'm going to drink some wine with my beloved at this table. And I bet you one day I'm going to serve my family Thanksgiving dinner at this table. And I hope that I get to roll out gingerbread cookie dough on this table with my children, and so on. So this table, this prop, it helped me to harness my imagination and believe that I could have it all, that I could have love. After Susan reminded me of this story from my past, I began to cry. I had totally forgotten about it. It was a lot to take in. And then Susan shared that in her counseling practice, she worked with many young women, and that she had imparted this story to them through the years as a possible ritual that they could partake in. I took a deep breath and I said, Susan, this is just amazing. I still have that kitchen table, and I baked gingerbread cookies on it last week. Whew. This story reminds me of two great takeaways here. Well, the first and the most obvious is the law of attraction. It works, people, doesn't it? I mean, the sequel to the story is that I've been married for 30 years. I have a child. I have a dog. I have a music career. Everything that I thought I couldn't have. But actually, the reason I'm sharing this story is the second takeaway. I was incredulous at the thought that some random thing I did and said 30 years ago would still be remembered today and would be shared with strangers. Beautiful impact. Which brings me to my last story. The year was 2017. And my daughter had come home from college that weekend. I was just so excited that she was home for Thanksgiving, and I wanted to spoil her. So I said, honey, is there anything that you want me to make for you? I will do my best to make it for you. And she said, okay, I'd like a rhubarb pie. Well, folks, I got to tell you, I have never cooked with rhubarb before. I've never made a rhubarb pie. And I was a little worried about that request, but I felt like, okay, she's my daughter. I'm going to do my best to spoil her. So off we went, the three of us, my husband, Edward, my daughter, Veronica, and I, on a quest for rhubarb. Now, I didn't know it at the time. You might know this, but rhubarb is out of season in fall in Virginia. But we had quite an adventure nevertheless. As I mentioned, it was right before the holiday, right before Thanksgiving. And all the stores were crowded. It wasn't a picnic. We went to 3 grocery stores and found no rhubarb. Our last stop was a Walmart, and wouldn't you know, no rhubarb. So by this time, we were exhausted, disappointed, and grumpy. What a waste of my time, I thought. We grabbed a few last-minute items, and then we stood in the checkout line, and I'm going to tell you, folks, it was a long checkout line. As we waited, I looked around and started doing some people watching. The first thing I noticed, it appeared to me I was not the only one that was in a bad mood. I looked around at the other shoppers and store workers. Nobody was smiling. There was no interaction, just a bunch of exhausted, detached people. My daughter stared on her phone, and I continued people watching and looking around as we inched slowly to the front of the line. And that's when I noticed we were next to be waited on, and there was a woman in front of me, a middle-aged woman who was being rung up at this moment. And I noticed her, and then I noticed on the other side of the store clerk, there stood a man who was holding lots of shopping bags that were full. So I suspected that he had probably already checked out, but for some reason he wasn't leaving the store. Now, he looked very agitated and angry. So I was wondering, what's his problem? What's going on with him? And then everything started to make sense. From the back of the store came a woman who I figured was his spouse or partner. She had apparently gone back in the store to retrieve a few more items. You know this scenario, right? But it was too late. He had already paid for his items, and he was not going to get back in that line to buy some last-minute purchases. So he barked at her. He said, "It's too late. Let's get out of here. Come on, put him back." And then the woman in front of me that was being rung up, she sprang into action. She said, "Nonsense, nonsense." And then she looked at the lady and she said, "Bring those items over here." And then she looked at the clerk and said, "Please put these items on my tab." Well, in that brief moment, You could just feel a huge energy shift among everybody in the vicinity of the conversation. All of a sudden, everybody was present and awake. The clerk, who had been scowling, she was now smiling and nodding her head as she rang up the items. My husband laughed, and then my daughter looked up from her cell phone. "What's going on?" I said, "A moment of kindness, that's what's going on." Now, the man that was the beneficiary of this kindness reached into his wallet to reimburse this lovely lady. And she said, "Oh, no, put your wallet back. I tell you, God has been good to me. I say pass it on. Pass it on. What do you say?" And she looked me dead in the eye, and I said, "Yeah, pass it on." It was like a church sermon delivered in 4 or 5 sentences. So she left, and we paid for our groceries, but now we were smiling. That small gesture shifted our moods dramatically. We headed to the parking lot, and my husband said, "Wow, that was a nice moment, wasn't it?" And I agreed. I said, "Yeah, that made my Thanksgiving right there. That's great." And then my husband said, "Did you notice that woman that paid for the groceries, she was wearing an article of clothing that indicated she voted differently from us in the last election? Did you notice that?" And I responded, "Yeah, I did notice that. Had I seen her on the street, I might have judged her." So I'm so grateful that life brings me moments like this where I can learn and go a little deeper. This was a moment of what I call beautiful impact, when I went searching for rhubarb, but ended up finding something way better. I remembered that kindness was alive and well, and the kindness that we extend to one another has a lasting impact. I hope my stories today inspire you to continue shining your light. Live your life with an awareness of the beauty that you bring to life. Remember Maya Angelou's words, "You are a rainbow in the clouds." And remember Jesus' words, "You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hid." I'll close my talk with one last quote, and this one comes from Thich Nhat Hanh. He says, "People usually consider walking on water or on thin air a miracle. But I think the real miracle is not to walk either on water or on thin air, but to walk on earth. Every day, we are engaged in a miracle which we don't even recognize. A blue sky, white clouds, green leaves, the black, curious eyes of a little child, our own 2 eyes. All is a miracle." Thank you.
Thank you so much, Claudia. That was really, really wonderful. So we have an opportunity to give. First, I would like to know if there's anybody here for the first time. If you want to just maybe make an indication so our blessing team can welcome you. And know that our senior minister, Don, has been on vacation. We'll be returning next week. And our music director, Blair, is suffering in France with her husband of 40 years. Barry and Blair are celebrating their 40th anniversary. So it's our time to give back, to share the gifts that we receive, and to put them out and let them multiply. So let's hold our gifts in our hands and know that there are other ways to give as well, online and through the Tithely app, and of course in the mail, or just drop it off here at the office. So let's hold those gifts in our hands, in our hearts, and affirm together. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, Mother Father.
All right, I'd like to share a song off of my Fearless CD. In case you would like to take some inspiring music home with you today, I do have some things set up in the lobby. And the name of this song is Shine.
Oh, yeah. Shine the light into the world. Shine the light into the world. Shine the light into the world. Let it shine. It is time for one and all to live the dream, answer the call. There is enough love in your heart to change the world, and the world needs our love, yeah. Shine the light into the world. Shine the light into the world. Shine the light into the world. Let it shine. One by one we plant the seed. Wherever there's a need, we'll be the very hands and heart of love, reaching out into the world. Woo! Shine the light into the world. Shine the light into the world. Shine the light into the world. Let it shine. We reach a place in our human evolution. People get ready for the love revolution. For every problem we breathe into solution. Now is the time to put on your shine. Now where is God in the midst of tragedy, but living in the hands and hearts of humanity? Answer the call and let love set you free. Now is the time to put on your shine. Shine the light into the world.
Shine on, shine on, shine your light on.
Shine the light into the world.
Gotta keep it going, gotta keep it one more prayer.
Shine the light into the world.
You gotta come with him, come with him, come with him, come on, yeah.
The time is right, put on your light, come on and fight the fight, brothers and sisters, for peace, for justice. Shine the light into the world.
You got to love the Lord, you come on, come watch it.
Shine the light into the world. Shine the light into the world. Yes, the world needs your love. Shine the light into the world. Yes, the world needs your love. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you again. So we bless these tithes and offerings, and we see them going out, multiplying and doing great works in our world and in our community. Thank you. So it's time for the kids.
We are walking as a light of God. We are walking as a light of God. We We are walking as the light of God. We are walking as the light of God. We are walking, we are walking, we are walking as the light of God. We are walking, oh, we are walking as the light of God.
Thank you. Wonderful, wonderful. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, my name is Mark Boston, and I'm your youth director here at Unity of Charlottesville. And happy Mother's Day. And our children have a special Mother's Day message that they'd like to share with you today.
For thousands of years, the celebration of mothers and motherhood has occurred throughout the world. The modern holiday of Mother's Day was first celebrated in 1908 when Anna Jarvis held a memorial for her mother at St. Andrew's Methodist Church in Grafton, West Virginia. It was officially declared a holiday in 1914.
Of all the relations known to us, a mother's bond with her child is above everything else because of their undying love, dedication, and devotion to kids.
Our mothers dedicate a large part of their lives to nurturing us and making us into better humans, from feeding us our first meals, to hearing our first words, to handling our tantrums, to providing us with a shoulder to cry on when we grow older. A mother is present in every stage of our lives.
Mother's Day is a celebration to honor our mothers' selfless love and each sacrifice they make for their children. Thank you. And now Parker would like to tell us what we did today.
Hold these for a second. So today we made cards for our moms. And we also picked out flowers before we left.
Thank you, Parker. And we have flowers for the moms after service. Youth Ed is seeking volunteer teachers. If this speaks to you, then know that the level of commitment is fairly light, as we are asking that you only offer maybe 1 month a month to share this wonderful space with our children. And for those who have already reached out to me, I will be contacting you later this week. Thank you.
So if the kids can be patient, we do have transformation opportunities, and Maria has an announcement real quick. We have plenty of time.
Hello. Oh, let me get this off. So I don't know if you remember the fall of 2021. That was like several COVID variants ago. But we actually had our fantastic fall fundraiser. And in case you didn't hear the final amount, our goal was $20,000. And together we raised $22,312.74. Woo! So I just wanted to just give such a huge thank you to everyone who gave in amounts large and small. It was just given with such love and received with such gratitude. I don't know if you also remember, but part of the deal was that you were going to open your wallets and give generously, which you did, and in return that we had gifts for you. And so you may have been waiting and waiting and waiting, and notice that you were waiting a really long time. And so I sincerely apologize, but starting today, I'm going to be out in the narthex, and I want to talk to everyone who donated to the fall fundraiser, and I want to figure out what you want to get in return. And all of those of you who are out in TV land, I will be contacting you as well. And once we figure out what everyone wants, we're going to make one big order, and we'll be able to distribute the bounty. And again, I thank you so much for your gifts and for your patience. So come see me.
I have been waiting. Totally forgot about it. So let's quickly run through the announcements. The Unity Basics 1 and 2 class starting on May 18th and May 25th, led by Reverend Don, will be at 7:15 on Zoom. And our midweek healing service on Zoom every Wednesday, it's from 6:30 to 7:30, is continuing. The pastoral care team is always available for prayers, individual visitations at hospitals. Anytime you need special assistance in prayer, the pastoral care team is there for you. And virtual fellowship for those on Zoom. Stay after for fellowship. We will be online. And let's bless the children together. Children, Uniteens, YOUers, teachers, and parents, you are loved, special, and important. So true. So I thank the sound team today. We have Carol and I can't see who's up there. Peggy and Greg, and then of course the blessing team, the welcome team that's out there helping. We all join together as a team, and a real heartfelt thank you to Claudia for coming today. And that was not only your music, but your message, I think, hit home for everyone. So let's stand. And together let us affirm our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And wherever God is, all is well.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be with God as creator. Night is all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joy found. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
So go and shine your beauty to all. And happy Mother's Day.